What's going on, y'all? So one of the questions I'm most frequently asked is what is the best business model, the type of business to start if you're a beginner or if you don't have very much money. So today I want to cover exactly that. I want to cover my top 5 favorite business models for beginners to go ahead and jump into, or the people that just don't have very much money, very much capital to go ahead and get started. The best business models for them, the ones that are actually going to give them the greatest opportunity to be successful. And this topic is actually near and dear to my heart because back when I was getting started a few years ago, I was a firefighter and a paramedic, and after bills had been paid, I had very little left over to go ahead and invest into a business. And it's obviously easier in some cases to go ahead and start businesses if you have a lot of capital to start. So I was in somewhat of the same position as a lot of you out there that just don't have a lot of money to get started, but you want to have the freedom of being an entrepreneur. You want to maybe be a digital nomad, work from Thailand. You want to, get your dream car, whatever it is. And I'm here to tell you that it's very possible. Just a few years ago, I was a firefighter paramedic, and now after starting with very little money, now I've been able to get my dream car, the Audi R8. I've been able to travel the world, now have this killer place in downtown Austin. So it is very, very possible. And I want to give you 5 of my favorite options from what I've seen from other people out there, and based off my experience, what are the best for beginners. But before we get into it, if you guys could please do me a huge favor, please go ahead and smash that like button for me. It actually really helps out the videos. If you could please hit subscribe. If you haven't already, I'm here for you guys. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to go ahead and connect with you guys. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So first off, I want to go from 5 down to 1. So I want to go from essentially the 5th, my least favorite, even though it's still a great option, down to my absolute favorite business model for beginner or for those with low amounts of money to invest in this business. So number 5, this is actually not really a type of business that you're going to start. It's really using your skills to go ahead and make money. And this is perfect if your whole goal is to become a digital nomad, maybe work from Thailand or work from Europe somewhere or something like that. This is perfect. So number 5 is actually being a freelancer. So a freelancer can take the shape of so many different things. This is where you could go ahead and have your services of being a logo creator. You could provide some type of ad services for someone. A freelancer is essentially you're going ahead and using your skills and getting those type of jobs. The first person I met that was actually being a freelancer, being very successful with it, was when my wife and I went to Thailand for our first trip to Thailand. We met a woman there that had been living there for like 6 months, and she was a freelancer. She essentially had all these different types of skills, these online skills, and she was able to work from wherever she wanted, and essentially provide certain rates for these skills for people and for these businesses. And she was absolutely loving it, guys. So that's number 5, is be a freelancer. So number 4 is to be a consultant. This is very similar to freelancer, but this is typically you're going to have consulting services based around your knowledge or skill set. And so consulting has become very popular, especially business consulting, but you can consult in anything. If you are very experienced in the music industry, you can consult with businesses or musicians and trade your time for money essentially to consult with these people. And you can be a consultant from almost anywhere depending on the type of service you provide. So you can provide literally just a consultation where you're going ahead and giving your knowledge during that time to help that person or that business, or you can actually do done for you services. And this is actually getting into one of the next few business models that we'll talk about. But being a consultant can be very, very, very profitable, and it's very scalable as a single individual. And this is a great business model as just a single entrepreneur. And frankly, in many people's opinions, being a consultant is actually the number 1 business someone should go into as a beginner. From the very beginning, their first business should be them as a consultant. And I can see the points to that. I do think that you learn many great things as a consultant. So this is definitely a great option for many of you out there. So number 4 is consultants. So now we're gonna go ahead and get into what I consider the top 3. These are the top 3 most popular on YouTube right now. They're the top 3 most popular that I've seen beginners get into over the last couple of years. And these are ones that are argued between many different people on what's the best to jump into, what's the most profitable. And frankly, between these 3, all 3 of them have huge potential. They just each have pros and cons. So number 3, and I'm gonna get some backlash that I'm putting at number 3. Number 3, I'm gonna put Amazon FBA. So Amazon FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, is where you'll essentially go ahead and you'll buy inventory of a product. You usually private label this product, meaning you'll put your logo or have custom packaging. You'll have it, you'll buy the inventory, ship it straight to Amazon's warehouses, and then let Amazon deal with the rest. Let them deal with the customer service, let them deal with the fulfillment of it, everything like that. It's actually a great business model, and this is the business model that I first went into heavily. I did affiliate marketing through blogging in the very beginning, but the first business model that I actually devoted myself to was Amazon FBA. And I think this is a great business model if you're a beginner, if you're willing to go ahead and really invest yourself into learning up front. Because this, out of all the business models I'm mentioning today, this does have the largest startup cost. Many times you have to spend at least $800, well into the thousands, to buy the amount of inventory you need to go ahead and get started. And so you better make sure that the product you're going ahead and investing that money into is going to be a winner. So if you don't know what you're doing, or you're not willing to really invest yourself into taking a course, getting mentorship, whatever it is, this business model is probably not for you. This is going to have the most risk up front. Now, with that being said, there's a ton of opportunity and a ton of potential with Amazon FBA. I've got so many friends that have been killing it for years doing Amazon FBA, but they also have that knowledge from doing it for a few years, and they've had many products be duds. And so you just need to make sure that you're willing to essentially manage the risk of buying that inventory up front. So number 2 is having a social media marketing agency. So this is where you can actually go ahead and provide your services for local businesses. This is typically in the form of local brick and mortar, so chiropractors, dentists, realtors. You'll go ahead and essentially run their social media advertising for them. Many people do social media management. Many people do running Facebook ads for these people. That's actually probably the most popular. But this is definitely something you can get started with as a beginner, and it involves a very low amount of startup cost. What it does involve is that you actually, one, go ahead and learn the skill sets you're going to provide. So if you're going to do Facebook ads, you need to actually learn how to effectively use Facebook ads to get sales or leads for your clients. But then 2, you're actually going to have to go ahead and talk to people. So if you're an introvert, this is where you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone and go talk to potential clients and sell them on your services. Now, one recommendation I have for you is everybody goes after the chiropractors, the dentists, the realtors, all kind of the same, and it's become a pretty saturated space if you go after that. Try to differentiate yourself. So I know people that provide media services. So they provide services for YouTube. I know people that provide just Facebook. I know people that provide for different types of clients, just e-commerce clients. That's actually one of the things I've been working on lately, is I provide many services for high-level e-commerce clients. And there's many services that go along with that. But the biggest point here is go ahead and try to differentiate yourself if you are getting started with creating your own social media marketing agency. Don't just follow into the very cookie cutter, what everybody else is doing. Go ahead and really try to differentiate yourself. Have a skill set that sets you apart. All right, so number 1, I'm sure many of you already guessed this, is Shopify dropshipping. And the reason I have dropshipping is not only because that's where I found by far the most success, but I think as a beginner, one, yes, you are going to have some startup costs, but it's way smaller than Amazon FBA, or at least should be smaller if you know what you're doing. Plus, you're not having to spend, you know, the $800 to $2,000 that you would spend on inventory with FBA upfront. It's usually spread over time with marketing. Essentially with drop shipping, what you're doing, if you don't know what it is, you're gonna go ahead and create an e-commerce website. You're gonna find suppliers that have products at wholesale or low prices. You're gonna list those products on your store at a higher price. And then when a customer buys from you, you then buy it straight from the supplier and have it shipped straight to the customer. It's an absolutely beautiful business model. You just really have to know what you're doing. But the biggest thing I think this is amazing for a beginner is, one, you can get started now. If you're watching this video, you can literally go ahead, turn off YouTube after this, or keep watching YouTube to keep learning, but you can turn it off, go start your first Shopify store and start getting into it. Number two is the skill sets you learn as you go through with a drop shipping business. You learn an immense level as you're doing this. So you'll learn the skills to then have a social media marketing agency. You'll learn the skills that will then transfer over to having inventory like you would with Amazon FBA. You learn so many different skills, guys, that it's absolutely incredible. But then the biggest thing is too that you can get started with very low money and turn it into an absolute beast. I've had stores that have done hundreds of thousands of dollars in just 1 month. I've sold stores well into the tens of thousands of dollars. And this is all essentially, guys, starting with very little money. You just have to learn what you're doing before you get started. Don't just go ahead and just jump in and start throwing money out there on Facebook. That's what a lot of people do. They don't take their time. They just throw money out there and then they lose some money. But if you're willing to actually go ahead and put in the effort, put in the time, and put in the time to learn, you guys will be good to go. There's so much opportunity. It's only growing as we move into 2019. E-commerce as a whole, I've talked about this in other videos, e-commerce is growing so rapidly and drop shipping is growing right along there with it. All right, guys, these are my top 5 favorite business models, business types to get into if you don't have very much money, or if you're an off-the-street beginner. My biggest recommendation when people ask is definitely Shopify drop shipping, but I think there's huge potential for all 5 of these. And, you know, for some people, I think FBA would be better than drop shipping, or social media marketing agency would be better than Amazon FBA for some people. It all depends on your personality type, what you want to be doing in the future. The biggest thing, guys, is one of the things we talk about on this channel is having longevity. Don't just get into this for get rich quick. Really define what you want. Focus on longevity and always leveling up, guys. But if you go ahead and jump into these 5 business models, you guys are on the right track. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value out of it. If you did, please go ahead and smash that like button for me. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. What is your favorite business model out of these 5? Did I leave any off the list? I know there's plenty of other business models out there for you to get into. Many even offline, many brick and mortar types that you can even start with relatively low money. So definitely leave that down in the comment below. I would love to go ahead and connect with you guys. Keep grinding, y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.